Hey family, what's going on? Klaus here, and welcome to today's video where we're going to be discussing the cabin, the story, and probably most importantly, the cost. Yes, guys, we're going to be discussing the cost of how much the cabin actually cost me to build, starting from the foundation all the way to the little things like the furniture and how much gas it cost me to drive back and forth to the hardware store. So let's get into it. Today is actually the day before Thanksgiving here in America, which is Today's November the 23rd, which is a Wednesday. Thanksgiving is always on a Thursday. So tomorrow's Thanksgiving. My wife and I are about to travel. So I wanted to get this video out today. Let's discuss, first of all, the story of the cabin. And you guys have probably been following along, but I'm going to make this really brief. My wife and I moved to a new city for her new job, and we couldn't find a house that we liked. We definitely didn't find a price that we liked. So what we ended up doing was buying a plot of land, and on that land was an RV. So we lived in the RV for approximately 10 months, and during those 10 months, I built this office, which is amazing, though it is not heated, so it is quite cold. And then number two, we built the cabin, and we did both of those in that 10-month period between January and November. So we finished the cabin this weekend, a few days ago, moved in, and it's been amazing. We've been unpacking boxes ever since. So it is amazing how things can go very differently than what you originally planned. My original budget for the building was $100 per square foot. That is, in this case, the cabin was an 800 square foot small, like mother-in-law suite, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom place. And it's 800 square feet. And so my estimation was $80,000. Now that is on the low end of building, especially in this area. We're living in a rather high-end area, or, an area that things are pretty expensive, especially labor. Generally, the rule of thumb is you take how much money that you're going to spend on your material, and then you double that number, and that's how much money you're going to spend in total. That's because your labor is 50% generally of how much you're going to spend. Now, you'll see once we break down the numbers how much I spent on that, and we did a very good job. But there's some things to consider when you decide to do something DIY. We'll talk about that here in a moment. So let's start with the first line item. I've got what looks like 8 or 9 line items here to discuss. The first thing is the foundation. Now, generally, the foundation is either like a concrete foundation, or you'll do like a pier and beam type scenario where you've built up on blocks. And that's kind of what we did. We brought in the shell of the building and we sat that down on blocks, but I wanted a foundation underneath it. So instead of doing an expensive concrete foundation, I used road base, which is awesome, especially since we are on top of a hill and the ground is solid rock. I mean, we can't even dig 8 inches down before we hit solid rock. And so that thing ain't going anywhere. But the foundation cost for me was about $1,000 in material and about 4 hours of running the tractor. So however many dollars in diesel that was, and labor time, which how much is my labor worth? I don't want to think about that, because, if I'm working on one job, I'll probably charge one thing. If I'm working on another job, I'll probably charge another. If I'm working on my own property, I'm not paying myself, but I am spending my time. So you'll see once we get to the labor category that when you think about it that way, we might not have come out ahead in this whole project, but because I didn't have to pay myself, we will, financially speaking, like numbers wise, I think we came out pretty well. So foundation is $1,000. Number two was the actual building. So we bought a 16 by 50 building from Dirksen. They're a shed company, and they build them on site. They build them traditional building style with 2x8s or 2x10s or whatever the base is, 2x4 building or walls, and then your 2x whatever the ceiling was. I think it was 2x6s, 2x8, something like that. So it is a real building. It's not like a modular building. It's not like a mobile building. It's just able to be transferred because they build it on these big old skids. So they brought that baby in. A 16 by 50 building cost us $34,000. Now that was during a time when labor was a lot more expensive. So I don't know if it would be cheaper now than it is then, than it was then, but $34,000 for the actual shell. And that includes everything from the windows, the doors, the siding, the roof, it's dried in. Like, it shows up, they set it down, and it could rain all day long the next day, and no rain's going to get inside that building because it comes dried in. So now you have an idea of what that entailed. The next line item is building materials, like everything else that I needed to build the shed, or the cabin. And the cabin required a grand total of $31,000 in building material. Now, I could have done this a lot cheaper, but I chose to go a little higher end on some things. We wanted wood on the walls and ceiling, not sheetrock, and that was a lot more. And honestly, don't even know where all that money went. I know what it doesn't entail. The building materials line item that I have does not include the cabinets because we special ordered those. It does not include the granite, and it does not include the flooring, and it doesn't include the furniture, but it does include every bit of material needed to build the place: insulation, walls, electrical, plumbing. That's well, like electrical, like light fixtures and plumbing fixtures and bathtub and shower inlay, like everything. It also includes the appliances. So we got a washer and a dryer, a water heater, a dishwasher, refrigerator, and an oven. So all of those appliances are involved in that building materials line item, although it probably, the appliances probably shouldn't be in there. If we were going to sell the place, we probably would leave all the appliances except for maybe the washer and dryer. So I think that kind of fits. So if you add all three of those together, so far, that is $66,000. That's excluding the cabinets, granite, flooring, labor, furniture, gas to drive around, and my own labor. The next thing that was surprisingly expensive, but this is just how it works, and we've done this many times and it's always expensive, is the cabinets. Now, we had special cabinets built to our design, and they fit perfectly, and so they were not cheap. They were $12,800. Now, if you guys have seen the cabin videos, if you haven't, you need to go see them, but if you have, then you know we got a lot of cabinets, okay? The kitchen's a full-size kitchen with an island in the middle and a massive vanity and upper cabinet in the bathroom. So it's a lot of cabinets. $12,800 for that. The immediate thing that follows cabinets is granite, although in the building list they're very far apart, really. The granite is it cost us $4,200, and that is a decent amount of granite. I think it cost us, it was an entire slab. So if you go to like a granite place, we bought an entire slab, plus our granite fabricator had a piece that he sold us as well for the island. So that's how much granite we ended up buying, and with labor, $4,200. The flooring was $3,000. We went with a relatively low cost flooring, so that ends up being about $3 per square foot, which used to be a really high price. Lately, it seems like that's on the low end. So I don't know. Flooring has gone crazy. And then the last of the line items that I think really should be on this list is labor. So again, let me break this down. Usually you take the material that you're spending and then you double that, and that is your labor. So in this case, I mean, you take all the materials and things, and I mean, we should have paid minimum $30,000 in labor. But because I did the vast majority of the work, and I had some people come volunteer, namely my dad. Shout out to him. He's amazing. He knows how to do everything, and he's just a genius. It's awesome having him around. He has good ideas too. So when he does something, you know it's going to turn out pretty good, if not perfect. So I had a lot of volunteer work coming in and helping us out. And I had one guy, 18 years old, just graduated high school, didn't want to go to college just yet. So he was kind of like this limbo year. There's a name for that, but I can't remember what it is. But I hired him. He had no experience with anything. So a lot of the time we spent was teaching him how to do stuff. And so, you know, it wasn't like hiring a professional or anything like that. So our grand total in labor that we spent on this property, on the cabin, was $4,000. I know. Pretty amazing. And that included hiring a guy to do some of the trim for the dormer. He charged me $700 for 2 days of trim work. It was nuts. So anyway, our labor cost was crazy low, and the total of all those line items that we spent on the cabin ended up being $90,000, which is just a hair over the amount that I wanted to stick to, but it was still less than my perceived hard limit of 100,000. Right, so we came in right between that 80 and 100,000 and 90,000, which I think I'm very proud of, especially because again we went with good stuff like wood on the walls and like full-size kitchen, custom cabinets with granite. I mean, I think we did pretty well, to be honest. And then other things that I have here, but I'm not sure if they fit, is furniture, because clearly if we're going to sell the place, we're going to take our furniture with us. But like for the bedroom set and the couch and the table and chairs that we bought, like basically all the furniture we're going to need in this little place, we spent $5,500 on that. And then I also put a line item for gas, because I mean I drove to and from the hardware store like every day, and I live far out of town, so it was a lot of gas. I actually put, somewhere between $500 and $800 probably in gas, and that also includes driving to the city a few times to pick up furniture and appliances and things so that I didn't have to pay for the delivery charge, because I got a truck, I got a trailer. Why would I pay for delivery? So that is it with those questionable line items on there. We're at about 96,000 for the cabin. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds like a lot of money, and it does sound like a lot of money. But if you consider what we're going to be able to get out of that, like I think if we decided to sell, I think we're going to get much more than that down the line. And again, by saving, tens of thousands of dollars in labor doing the work myself, that's sweat equity into the property, which I'm very grateful to have, because now I feel like if something happened, if we needed some money faster, whatever, we could sell this place and we would profit what we spent. So it's not like we spent $96,000 on the cabin. We allotted that money into a bank account called the cabin or called the property, and if we need to, we can sell and get it out. So one thing I do want to discuss at the end of this video is, since we broke down the numbers and it kind of worked out kind of how I was expecting it to, is labor, right? So let's say you are a lawyer or a doctor and you make hundreds of dollars per hour. You may not want to take time off from work to go DIY your own cabin. You do it on the weekends or your off hours, but don't like take off work to do it, right? Because whatever money you're saving by not paying labor, you're losing more by not working, right? Because you can make more money doing your job than the money that you're going to save by not paying for labor doing something. It's also going to take you longer to do it than a professional, because they probably have more experience. Actually, they definitely have more experience. So they'll be faster at doing it. They'll probably do a better job, and they'll probably have a crew. And again, if you're a doctor or a lawyer, odds are you make more money than both people or the whole crew combined. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to DIY in that instance. But I think most people watching this video, including myself, because I guarantee you I'll watch this later, aren't in that category of like doctor or lawyer, right? I'm a content creator and an entrepreneur, self-employed, and I kind of set my own hours. And so I was able to, in my own blessed position, work off hours. So I didn't actually lose work. I was actually able to work and DIY at the same time. So it was a no-brainer for me. Should I consider the hundreds of hours that I spent on the cabin as as a cost? And like, what if I was worth $20 an hour? How much money is that in labor, right? Or $40 an hour or whatever. I shouldn't do that, because I have the ability to work and then do this off hours or on the weekends or whatever. That's kind of what it all amounts to. If you guys are working a 9 to 5 and then you're doing a DIY after hours or on the weekends, then you're doing it for yourself. It's also good for your health to do these kind of things. And so instead of looking at the labor as, well, it really should be, 30 or 40,000 because I spent all my waking hours for months on this project, I'm really not going to look at it that way, because I didn't miss out on any work, and it actually made me a happier, better person, because I was healthier, I was active, I was moving out around, and I gained a ton of experience doing stuff that I wouldn't normally do. So I think it's a huge win. The bottom line is we spent 90,000 ish on an 800 square foot cabin, and I think it will pay off in the end. Plus, we are able to live in the thing, and that has value as well. So even if we were to sell it for 90,000, the benefits of living in a place, the that has value, and every day that you're living in a place is money that you're not spending on a hotel or whatever, and so that will over time amount to savings and financial wisdom as well. So I think I broke it down fairly well. I'm hoping I didn't miss anything. Let me know if you have any questions down below in the comments. I'd love to answer them. I love reading your comments. Thanks for tuning in, and yeah, there's a lot more to come, guys. There's a lot more to come. I'm not 100% done, by the way, with the cabin. Like, we still want to build a porch and a few other things. So that is going to jack up the cost of the place a little bit, depending on how much how much the wood costs. But I don't think it's going to move the needle much. So I think we have a good idea of where we're at. So be staying tuned to what's going on here on the channel, because there's a lot more still happening. I got big plans. I probably got like a 3-year plan for this property at least. So stay tuned. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you all next time.